What's going on, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Pokemon Journey series. We're going to be covering episode 60 in today's review. And this was a great Pokemon episode. This is where it's at. I want more Journeys episodes to be like this episode because this was amazing. I love this episode. Yes, Sirfetch'd is one of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 8. And, well, Farfetch'd evolved in this episode, and it was amazing. And I think it was handled really well. So before I get into the review, I just want to say, if you're new to the channel, you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Okay, on to the review. So at the start of this episode, Ash and Go are training with Farfetch'd and Scizor, respectively. Kind of carrying over from the Wilkstrom episode. So they've been training, and it turns out that Ash is actually ranked up to 273 in the Pokemon World Championships. And more on that at the end of the video. But anyways, they're training and they're worn out, so Go suggests that they go to the Pokemon Center to get healed up. So they head out. So on their way to the Pokemon Center, Ash and Go end up stumbling across a Bellsprout. And this Bellsprout happens to be super weakened. It looks super drained. It just doesn't look very happy. But luckily for Bellsprout here, Go brought Grookey along with him. And as you know from last week's episode, Grookey seems to have the ability to bring life to plants, or at least bring plants that are weakened or just dying back to life. It seems to do this to Bellsprout because Bellsprout regains its energy when Grookey starts tapping the ground. And this makes Bellsprout really happy. So Grookey tells Go to capture Bellsprout, which Bellsprout's all for this, so Go gets a new Pokemon, so yay. Moving on. Now as Farfetch'd and Scizor come out of the Pokemon Center, they're healed, and Ash and Go are about to leave. Ash gets a notification on his phone, a nearby opponent for the Pokemon World Championships, which turned out to be Rinto. Yeah, that guy from almost 10 episodes ago that defeated Galarian Farfetch'd pretty easily. Turns out he was actually in the normal class at the time and couldn't face off against Ash. But now he's advanced into the super class or great class. So, yeah, now they can face off in the official Pokemon World Championships match. So Ash asks Rinto to have another battle with him, saying that, yeah, we've grown a lot since the last time we faced off against each other. And they also mentioned that, hey, I went through Wilkstrom's training, and we actually got medals. And Rinto seems to know about this as well, and also says that, yeah, we went through a lot of training since then. We've gotten a lot stronger, so let's see how much you've improved. So they agree to a 1v1 battle in the Pokemon World Championships. Now the battle begins between the two, and it becomes apparent pretty quickly that Farfetch'd is once again struggling against Gallade. He ends up getting hit with a Psycho Cut, and his leak actually ends up getting burned a little bit, which Rinto immediately comments and says that Farfetch'd is once again inadequate in dealing with his Gallade, and it's going to be the same result as before. And Go over here shouts, hey, if he's inadequate, why don't you tell him? And Rinto responds by saying, well, I'm not a gym leader, so you got to find out the answer yourself. So they continue, and once again, Galarian Farfetch'd is struggling. It seems like Ash has the upper hand, using Detect to end up hitting Gallade over here. But at the last minute, Rinto has Gallade use Feint, and it ends up cutting the top of Galarian Farfetch'd's leak off, which basically breaks its spirit. And Farfetch'd over here, for a little bit, is just staring. Seems like he's lost the will to fight. Even Rinto comments on this. And you can see the devastation in Galarian Farfetch'd's eyes, as that leak is its most precious item, and it's been damaged. And it seems to have lost the will to fight, but it's thanks to Ash, it gets some motivation to continue. And Ash, using his unpredictable battle style and taking notes from Wilkstrom and its Aegislash using King Shield, has Galarian Farfetch'd take the top of that leak that was cut off and uses it as a shield, freeing up his hand. So one hand is using the leak and the other one is using the top of the leak as a shield. So Galarian Farfetch'd and Gallade continue their battle. Now despite this, Galarian Farfetch'd is still struggling a bit, as it's taken quite a bit of damage, while Gallade has taken barely any damage during the fight at this point. So Galarian Farfetch'd is still struggling. Even though it's gotten a little bit faster, it's still struggling, and once again gets another hit and ends up flying right into Ash's arms. And it seems like it's over, as Galarian Farfetch'd is kind of just looking down, a little defeated here. And even the Rotom referee is actually wondering what Ash's decision is going to be, whether he's going to step down or not. But Ash decides to continue on, and Galarian Farfetch'd continues along with Ash, and they continue the battle. Now the tables turn at this point, and Galarian Farfetch'd is actually landing a couple of hits on Gallade, who starts using close combat, but Galarian Farfetch'd manages to evade these attacks, and continues attacking Gallade. Seems to get at least 3 clean hits on Gallade, as Gallade actually seems to be affected quite a bit from these attacks. And as a result, Galarian Farfetch'd ends up evolving into our boy Sirfetch'd, one of my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon. Man, I was so happy when I saw this. It was awesome. I think it was very well done. Now the battle resumes once again, and you can tell a clear difference between Galarian Farfetch'd and Sirfetch'd, as not only is Sirfetch'd stronger, but he's more agile and more adept with using his leak and his new shield, which is pretty cool to see, and gets a direct hit on Gallade here with Night Slash. But it turns out that Rinto actually did this on purpose for Gallade, as this enacted Gallade's Justice ability, which increases its attacks. But despite this and using close combat, Galarian Farfetch'd manages to come out on top, and manages to block the close combat with its shield, and defeats Gallade, allowing Ash to win the match. And the episode comes to an end, with Ash ranking up to 184 in the Pokemon World Championships. Nice. Now I gotta say, what an awesome episode. This was a great finale to this arc that's been building up since episode 51. And it was so worth it. And I can't wait to see Sirfetch'd in future battles in the Pokemon World Championships, because Sirfetch'd is one of my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon, and I'm so happy to see it in the anime. This made the episode, in my opinion. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things going on in this episode that were great, but obviously the evolution is definitely the highlight there. I love Sirfetch'd. I just love his attitude, and I'm looking forward to seeing Sirfetch'd in future battles and future episodes. It's going to be amazing. Now, besides an awesome battle and evolution in this episode, there are other things I liked. For starters, Rinto. This guy is pretty cool. I like the fact that we see more of his personality in this episode compared to episode 51, which we only saw a little bit of his personality there. We get to see he's a bit of a cocky trainer in this episode. He has a bit of a cocky attitude, and he seems to look down on others, it seems. I don't know if he's like this with other people, but when facing off against Ash, he's constantly talking down to Farfetch'd and Ash himself, calling him inadequate for his Gallade. And despite all that, I like the fact that when he lost, he grew to respect Ash and he respected him, admitting to his own inadequacies, and that him and Gallade have a long way to go. So I like that attitude of his. It's pretty refreshing. Now, will this be the last time we see him? I hope not. Even though he was pretty much here to further Sirfetch'd's development, I like his personality and I hope he returns later down the road sometime. Maybe to witness another battle with Ash or maybe face off against him sometime. Another thing I liked was the continuity between all the Farfetch'd episodes up to this point, as I think it worked really well in this episode, from bringing Rinto back to referencing Ash's training with Wilkstrom before and during the battle. It was really well done in my opinion, especially the Wilkstrom stuff, with Ash coming up with this strategy because of that. I thought that was awesome, and it worked really well here. And see guys, if Journeys does this more often, this makes for good content. So I hope Journeys does this more often in the future, with future arcs or just future focus episodes for certain characters. Now this wasn't a major focus in the episode, but I actually didn't mind the Go capture this time around. It was more so for a friend for Grookey, which was really nice and cute. But it was really cool to see this happen not because Go just threw a Pokeball at a random Pokemon and caught them on the first try, but it was because it was done in a unique way for Grookey. And it made its capture really nice, and yeah. Hopefully we get more captures that are like this and less like Go just throwing a random Pokeball at a Pokemon and catching them on the first try. I don't like that, so if they do more stuff like this, I think this will be more acceptable. Now my only gripe that I have with this episode was Ash ranking up off screen in the Pokemon World Championships going to 273. Now this isn't as bad as it was in episode 51, where he was in the normal class and he shot all the way back up in the super class into the top 500, which was kind of ridiculous. But it still bothers me that these Pokemon World Championship battles are few and far between in episodes. And then most of Ash's progress is done off screen. Like, come on now. That being said, since it wasn't that bad this time around, I'm not going to let it ruin my enjoyment of this episode. But this is something they need to stop doing. Like, he's at 184 now. Don't do it anymore. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for this episode review. So overall, a fantastic episode. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. One of Journey's best episodes to date. So guys, in the comment section down below, post your thoughts. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know what you think. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll talk to you guys later.